Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, welcome to This Is It show, a show that highlights social issues that you and I will sit around the table and have a conversation about. But basically, we have a problem with streetism. So this show is to have a discussion about the issue of streetism and how we can make a difference or reduce the spate of street children. So welcome to This Is It. I'd like to introduce my panel members to my viewers. We have Mr. Seta PG from the Department of Social Welfare. You're welcome.
Thank you.
And then we have Robert Yakohini from Spikes Global, a research and development company.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for honoring our invitation. We will have a brief conversation about the issue of street children, streetism, everything that we see on a daily basis about children of school-going age supposed to be in school or at home are found on the streets struggling to make ends meet. Mr. Robert, what are some of the factors that leads to kids living on the streets? What are some of the push and the pull factors in your opinion?
Okay, so for us, we should look at the street child as a typical person who is looking to survive. What are the things that make such a child or a person not have a place that we will consider as usual? Disasters, natural disasters. Just yesterday there was a situation where Kenya recorded a lot of villages being submerged under flood.
Okay.
This is the end of a lot of people's families as they know it.
Yes.
So suddenly, what are they going to do? What's the next opportunity? Just let's wonder, and hopefully they will be okay.
Find it.
Natural disasters, parental demises. I mean, we no longer actually enjoy that kind of family support systems that we used to have. And
Extended family support systems.
Okay. And so, by default, the people who are responsible for fending for a child no longer being there exposes this child to the world. And what's the child's next best bet? Just wonder.
So, Mr. PJ, what is the Department of Social Welfare's mandate? Looking at these kind of natural disasters, family feuds, and issues that make the street the next best bet, what is the mandate, or what does the Department of Social Welfare do about such situations?
Yeah, thank you very much. The Department of Social Welfare, in conjunction with the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, sees to it that every child is given the best interest of care and protection. So whenever we find such children on the street, we go to their aid with the little resources that we have.
All the major cities in Ghana having this issue of streetism. And I'm wondering, do you have enough resources? Do you have enough manpower to be able to manage to give them something and not leave them behind? Like you said, they are the foundation.
Yeah, honestly speaking, the department cannot have all the logistics or resources that it needs to curb this menace.
So.
It's a social menace. In fact, from literature available, streetism came to being in the year, I think, 1995-98, where it was assumed that children on the street are about 16,000, and it was envisaged that by the year 2018 it will shoot up to 30,000. But now it has even escalated more than that. Yes, and as you're saying, social welfare is everywhere. But what is the logistics to do everything at all these places? Do you
have like community centers where you send them to, or how do you get them off the streets?
Incidentally, we tried doing some rescuing or mobilization of children on the streets some years ago when Honorable Tikujaba, took part when Honorable Tikujaba was in office. Okay. That is where we started taking them off the ceremonial streets to various institutions, some homes and other places, and even apprenticing some who have showed the interest of learning some sort of trade, one way or the other. Yeah. Yes, some did, and some ran away. Sometimes we are able to trace some families and reintegrate and reunite them with their family, so that whatever assistance that they need or whatever caused the child to leave the home, social welfare will try as much as possible to mend so that the child can go back and
comfortable
continue
to stay.
whatever it is. That is where the availability means are there. However, lack of logistics and lack of resources hampers our efforts a lot. So we are trying our best. However, we want civil society, benevolent and individuals who have the heart to come on board, maybe for consortium or collaboration.
Yes.
Which I think we are getting there. So wait.
Okay. So Mr. Yakuhine, being a member of social society, you and I, and Mr. FPJ's organization, what can you and I do, or what is your take after you've heard what he said?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to add to what he was saying about the enormity of the challenge we're faced with. It's a complex issue. It's not so simple. From the ordinary person observing, it appears straightforward. Everybody's supposed to be in a home. And so how can we get, and by the way, the last count as projected, we are in excess of 80,000 right now.
Wow.
People on the streets. And I'm talking about children, not just everyone.
And
just
so
children
like he said,
under 18,
18.
Yes, or up to 18. Wow. We are currently estimated to have about 80,000 such people. And like
are you talking countrywide or city, city?
Countrywide.
Countrywide.
Yes, countrywide. Of course, the major urban centers will have most of them. It's as simple as that. Now, if you take the fact that we have up to about 80,000 children on the streets, what then we need to be mindful about is what the projections could be if nothing is done today. Yeah. Listen, let's face it. The government will never increase the budget to their side. So many things are chasing the purse. Yeah. So let's say, like you said, the civil society. He mentioned it. There are individuals who could, let's say, afford to raise 20 children out of nothing.
Even one at a time.
But the question is, how would they do it?
I think that comes to my next question, and actually my next highlight, because This Is It is funded by an individual who took a step.
Okay.
You can take a step. Somebody listening can take a step. And those little steps, taking one child off the street at a time, is what I think is the only thing we can do to kick this. Because if we are saying we are going to depend on government, like you say, woefully inadequate resources, if we, you and I, individuals, seeing these kids on the street, don't take a stance and try and help in any small way, we will not be able to kick this. And I went to see a few kids at the traffic lights, those who clean the windscreens and, help. And I had a chat with one or two, and one of them wants to be a mechanic. So my mind was that, let me find him a mechanic shop. Let him even sleep there. At least when it rains, he has a shade over his head. Let him learn a trade, That way, he will become somebody in future, instead of just wasting away on the street. You take that one child. A friend of mine takes another child who says he wants to be a soldier. Now, you cannot go into the military without basic education. So he's done up to SS2. He's got just one more year. So you fund his education for 1 year, make sure he's passed well, and place him in the military. That is a step. Another one wants to be a street evangelist. You teach him how to understand the Bible. You give him a few Bibles. He's earning an income, something, a little bit. It will take him also off the streets. These young men are going to grow up into responsible parents, and hopefully will be able to take care of their kids and not let them go back onto the streets. So there are little things you and I can do. I know there are several. Another issue that you mentioned was other organizations that are helping. Can you mention a few that you
I can mention, but before that, let me also reiterate this effort that is being done by the ministry and the departments.
Okay.
We have this family welfare policy, where most of the social intervention are also being channeled through. For instance, there is a program which is training people to become foster parenting.
Oh wow! Okay.
And like saying, individuals who are interested in picking and helping these children can register with the Department of Social Welfare, and it is across the country.
Okay.
Yeah, there's also this LEAP, livelihood and empowerment against poverty, where we see that the poor needs to be helped, and by giving them that mega then they can push their children into schooling.
Exactly.
Because not all children want to come out to the street. They just need little support to survive or to stay in their home to attend their. So all these social interventions are getting on. Yeah, like you rightly mentioned, I can mention a few. For instance, Street Girls Aid collaborates with social welfare. A soup kitchen, Catholic Action for Street Children, then Chance for Children, Kinder Paradise, and let's say a few that I can remember. These are all non-governmental agencies or organizations which have also taken into the helping of children, that is giving them the necessary assistance that they may need, providing them with shelter, clothing and food, and sometimes even their education. So these are all interventions which is being done in collaboration with the Department of the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection.
Okay, to support your efforts. That's great. But how are they publicized? How do you make people know about them so that they can also contribute towards helping these individuals?
I can say that, for instance, you are doing the publicity.
Okay, in my own small way.
In your own small way. So whenever there are these social issues and it come out, and the officers have the opportunity sitting on TV or radio, they advertise or they say these things to the general public so as to educate them or orientate them about what anybody and everybody can do.
I'm at a loss at that 80,000 figure.
Yeah, I mean, and it will grow faster than you anticipated. If you remember, he mentioned that when the study was done in I think in the 80s, early 90s. Okay, so they've made projections. Yeah, they made projections then that around this time we should be seeing barely about 30,000 or something like that. And the last count, actually, a couple of organizations came together to organize a study, and they counted 61,000. That was, is it 2-3 years ago?
Wow.
Yeah. So based on that, you do your extrapolation, and you know that around this time. And trust me, if we look, like you said, the cost factors, this urban, rural urban migration drift, if you look at all those elements that we consider as push factors, which are, if you may, unintentional. And then if you look at the ones that are actually the pull factors, the attraction, you'll be surprised. It can only go worse. But like he mentioned, there are positive things happening.
Yeah, the light at the end of the tunnel. Yes. What can be done?
So the fact of the matter is there are a couple of policies, when you look at them, they kind of give hope to the situation or the challenge to be tackled easily, even from the government side. Okay. Let's not downplay the impact, let's say, the free schooling, free education policy has. If any civil organization wants to help and he can find free education, that's extreme positive help, for the effort that they're going to put in. Because if you take the cost of raising a child and that is taken away,
education
is taken away. By default, you can help more children.
So, like we were discussing earlier, a consortium of some sort of all these organizations that are helping would be a good idea, no?
I will keep saying this. It's complex. Even people's moral and sentimental orientation needs to be addressed. Yeah. Because when you tell someone he shouldn't give alms, and his faith
is telling
him to do so, belief.
There's a conflict.
It is a huge one. Yeah. But how do we address some of these things? You see, like I intimated earlier, if we don't bring the key stakeholders together, so that we do both education, but more importantly, come out with solutions that deal with the legal issues, the
religious issues.
Yes, because all of those things are pillars. Yeah. And if we come together, okay, let me put it like this. There are good-intentioned persons who are ignorant. They are ignorant because they haven't taken pains to appreciate what is at stake. However, they have the desire, they have, I call it purpose, they have the passion, they have the intention. They need to be harnessed, they need to be organized, and then they need to be directed.
Yeah.
This is where, like I'm saying, the social welfare department can take on the responsibility of bringing these stakeholders together. You see, what I see on the ground, and he may want to react to it, is that probably it's also because of their logistical challenges. They hope that people will come to them. But I believe that they need to go to us. The society should be invited. Let me put it that way. There should be a call to action from them, saying that if you have intentions of helping in this event, come and let's discuss this. Yes. And there are people who individually can do far more than even organizations can do. But they will need someone to channel through. Exactly. So if the social welfare can decide that, listen, we are going to organize a forum, and first to identify all organizations or civil organizations or whatever who have intentions or interest in helping one way or the other. Let's come together. People have ideas. Social welfare can bring us all together. Let us sit down. If it means 3 days brainstorming, what should we do?
Yeah.
How do we deal with the issue of people encouraging streetism?
Yes.
Unintentionally.
Yeah.
Yes. They're not doing it because... Yes.
Exactly.
You were given an example of people tagging dress. If I tell you the experience I had at the mall, driving out.
I see them.
Listen, these the foreign ones, they have no fear of death. Listen, the car was moving. They were trying to get into the car. Why? Because I had a passenger with me who was a Muslim, also a foreigner. She visited the country only the first time. And you know, the usual is a CD. She pulled 10 CD notes. And you know, that day, I almost...
It would be a stampede.
There are women, you know, the women carrying these children.
Yeah.
They were all... And listen, it took a policeman to kind of drive them off my car. It was so tragic. Look, the lady was traumatized.
Wow.
She couldn't believe what was happening. But that is the reality.
Yes.
Let them see any sign. It goes all the way.
That is
but
why they still stay
I
on the
refer
street.
that we have a good chance. There are policies that could help. So let's pull these people together. Let's call a forum. Let's bring them.
Actually, you know, that is what ThisIsIt is all about. We can pull these societies and organizations together. We can organize a forum in collaboration with the Department of Social Welfare.
I won't say collaboration.
We can have this is it in
collaboration.
ThisIsIt is going to bring them
it
together.
It can start anyhow or
exactly.
Yeah.
We can at least start the conversation on a small scale. And if we do it on a quarterly or even an annual or biannual basis, the sensitization will come. Other organizations and individuals who have the capacity will be suddenly interested. They will know where to channel their resources. Then social welfare is armed. They have the mandate, they have they might get the logistics, and then they have people supporting. Now we'll be able to build community centers. We'll be able to come up with all kinds of after-school interventions that will keep the kids interested. They will have avenues to go and spend time in a controlled environment. And then the family orientation is also going to be enhanced. So there are so many things we can do. We can collaborate, we can come together as civil society in collaboration with social welfare to make sure that this thing goes away. If we give ourselves the next 10 years, I'm sure we'll see a difference. Definitely. And with the enforcement of social welfare, enforcing their mandate to making sure that streetism is illegal, we can start it on a small basis. But then we will take them off the street into something better. That is the hope and that is the calling. And that is what ThisIsIt is all about. I thank you very much for your time, for coming. And ThisIsIt is going to do quite a bit of work with you to see how we can fix this. We get the figures from the researchers, we get the help and the direction from the right departments, and we will make sure that civil society is more sensitized and conscious of what we should do to help or departments like yours and the gender department as well to fix our society. We should have an agenda 2030 so that we can see what we can do to fix and reduce the spate of streetism. I thank you very much for coming, and I wish you a safe journey home.
You're welcome.
And thank you very much. We shall talk again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's time to shine.